Hey there guys, I'm SonicGhost and welcome to another bonus episode of Let's Play Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the 3DS demo here of Majora's Mask 3D. So this demo was released right around the time this game was coming out, and you were able to try this game out on a 3DS kiosk station at your local store, being able to figure out if you wanted to go ahead and pick up this game around the time it released or not. So in this demo, we have 3 different sections of the game we can go ahead and play. We can start off in the beginning of our adventure, we can go ahead and explore the main town of the game in Clock Town, and we can fight our first boss in the game, Odawa. So we're going to go ahead and just start off here in the very beginning of our adventure and see where things take us. So loading into the game, we get an ESRB rating notice. This game is rated E10+ due to some of the extra violence in the game, but it's still safe enough for your kids, hence the E10+. But the beginning here just kind of throws us in to the beginning of our adventure. So we can just kind of play from the very beginning and work our way up to Clock Town, which, since the prologue section in this game is the exact same as the final product, we're going to go ahead and just skip ahead here until we get into Clock Town. So I am playing on an emulator using save states. That way we just make things a lot easier and more convenient here on us. Everything is pretty much the exact same here in this demo, so we can just go ahead and jump straight ahead here to Clock Town. At this point, we have control of Deku Link, and we can go ahead and make our way through the main area of the game in the first cycle of Majora's Mask 3D. So, starting off here, we have no items at this point. We don't even have our sword and shield to use anymore. We're just a Deku Scrub, but we know what we need to do at this point. We need to go ahead and get us some magic so we can make our way over to the Great Fairy in North Clock Town. So, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to go over to the Stop Pot Inn first, as I want to see if I can go ahead and just advance time ahead, as one of the things I like to do in the first cycle of Majora's Mask, regardless if I'm playing the original or the 3DS version, is make it the third day as fast as possible. That way we can just make it through things a lot faster. So, we're going to go ahead and make our way into Stop Pot Inn. Gotta use the top section as the bottom is locked off at this point. They don't open until 8 a.m. and it's just a little past 6 in the morning. Entering the Stop Pot Inn, if we head downstairs and go into the back here, this is where good old friend Granny lies, so we want to go ahead and read a story. And once we enter, we will notice that there's no speak dialogue here in front of Granny. We can't actually get a story and advance time that way, which is a little unfortunate. So, yeah, we can't really advance time forward in this state, which is, not great. I want to go ahead now and make my way over to West Clock Town and see if we can maybe use the Scarecrow over there to do the same thing. But notice here we have the owl statue already active, and we also can't interact with this. So we can't save here in the demo, which does make sense. It is a demo after all, so there's no progress you're going to be transferring over to the final version of the game, especially because this was not a demo you could just download off of the eShop. This was something you had to play on a system that already had it pre-installed. You couldn't just get this demo for yourself, so it does make sense why you can't really save progress at this point. Entering into the trading post, got our Scarecrow friend over here, and notice how he also doesn't let us talk to him. He just keeps his arm folded, and that's it. At that point, our time is over. We only have about 2 minutes to actually play through the beginning section here once we enter Clock Town, which is really not that much time. So, that's a little unfortunate. We can't advance time using both Granny's stories and the Scarecrow dancing, and we can't really do much if we only have about 2 minutes to work with. So, let's go ahead and just go to the next stage here. Let's go ahead and enter Clock Town. So loading in, once again, we have that E10+ rating. And now that we know we can't really do much here, there's no real point in really staying in Clock Town. So once we enter this file, we're going to see if we can enter Termina Field instead. So jumping in here, we can see on the bottom screen we only have 3 masks equipped. And if I check my mask screen, we see we have the Deku, Goron, and Zora mask, but that's all we have. If we check the item screen, we have no items here. So all we have is our 3 transformation masks. I'm going to go ahead and equip the Goron mask and transform into our Goron. That way we can leave town without getting any questions here. So go ahead and make our way out of here. And now we have entered Termina Field. So let's go ahead and see what we can explore here in Termina Field in the demo. Since this is a demo, I do expect things to be a little more limited. And making our way outside of the Clocktown entry point here, we can definitely see that limitation hit us right away. We can't enter Southern Swamp whatsoever. It's blocked off. Now you may be thinking, they did put a flower here pretty close to the entrance of Southern Swamp. Can we use our Deku form to fly over this gate? Well, sadly no, because when we get close to it, there's an invisible wall, so we can't even go over this even if we wanted to. That's not the only place in the game that decided to gate off. We head over here to Milk Road, same thing happens here, so we can't even enter the Milk Road area and kind of explore the Romani Ranch section of the game. And there's one more fence as well. If we head over to Akana over here, we will also see the same gates once we get close to that loading zone. So there are 3 areas in this area of Termina Field in general that just block off. Not exactly sure why they need to block this area off out of all of them, because you need Epona in order to even get past the beginning section of Akana. And Epona's not available here in this demo, so that one just kind of seems redundant to block off, but hey, that's what they did. So, since they blocked off so many areas, there's really not much we can do here in Termina Field, because without Epona, we can't really go to any major areas here. And with a lot of the areas being blocked off, we're really just limited to exploring the main outskirts here of Termina Field itself. We can jump down this grotto, we can go ahead and grab the piece of heart that's in here. We might as well just do that. We can go ahead and play around with our Zora form here. And I want to go ahead and just attack this Deku, get him out of here. Now, one nice thing is that we can go ahead and press the gear button here and we can pull up options. So, one thing I like to do is heading over into the page 2 section, I like to take my swimming controls and put it to inverted, because that's the original swimming controls from the N64 game of Majora's Mask. So in this demo, we can actually change our settings to however you want to play, which is nice because in the N64 demo that we tried out in the last bonus episode, there's no way of changing any of the options in the game. You were kind of just stuck on whatever the game defaulted you to. So at least this demo allowing you to change things is nice. Go ahead and grab ourselves a piece of heart while we're here, and just kind of explore more of Termina. Let's see how many pieces of heart we can get before the demo kicks us out. So there's number 1. Go ahead and surface, and I'm going to make my way over to the Dodongo piece of heart next, over near Snowhead. So let's go ahead, put back on my Goron mask, and make my way over to the Snowhead area, take on some Dodongos. As we can see though, this game does play out pretty much the exact same way as it does in the final product. But there's one major thing I also want to mention as well. Let's head over, before we fight the Dodongos, over to the wall where we can play some songs. So we can see we can play a song with XYLAXLOA. If I try to equip my ocarina, it doesn't work. The ocarina button is grayed out, but it is there on the bottom screen. So it's kind of weird. They give you the ocarina time, but you can't actually use it in this demo. Not exactly sure why we're not allowed to use it, because they already disabled the ability to save, so having the Song of Time not just be available to you, it wouldn't really matter because you can't save in this demo anyways. And plus, in the final product, you can't save using the Song of Time, so it just feels weird to give you an item and just not let you use it. But I think the major reason why we can't use our ocarina is because we can't advance time. And because we can't advance time, having the ocarina is one of those ways you could have done it, and they just want to make sure that wasn't a possibility. As we've already seen, 2 NPCs in this game are completely locked out because they have the ability to advance the time of day. So that's probably the reason. It's just so that you can't use Song of Double Time. Gotta be very careful here because I don't want to die. I only have 1 more heart, so be very careful here. Just block all the attacks here anytime that the Dodongo moves around. And there you go. That's the last one defeated. Let him blow up and get us a piece of heart. I think I'm also going to grab that Rupiah drop because we can get some items here in this demo. Even though we started off with nothing, we can go to the shops in Clocktown and buy things. So we can buy things like a bomb bag or some Deku sticks, stuff like that. So if I wanted stuff, well, I definitely need money first to afford things, but I can go buy it. And you know what? That's what we're going to go ahead and do. Let's go ahead and make our way up the slope here and head over to West Clocktown and get us some bombs, just so we can have some explosives. about ready to run out of magic here. Really bad time, too, because I was just getting ready to, well, get out of my roll form, but I wasn't expecting to run out at the same time I wanted to press the button. All right, let's head over to the bomb shop. So in here, we do have our Goron friend, and we can go ahead and speak to him and see if we can buy a powder keg, but because we don't have a powder keg license, we can't carry one. But it wouldn't really matter in this demo, because the only place we could realistically use this is in Milk Road. But Milk Road is blocked off, so that's not going to work. Go ahead and buy us a bomb bag here. And now we have a new item in our inventory we can use. We can also do the same thing with bomb shoes, so we might as well. And that's that. Now Tattle's giving us the advice about how we can use items for the first time, so the game does teach you how to use items once you pick up something here in the demo, just like it does in the final product. Luckily, we already know how to play, so we don't really need that extra little help. Thanks though, Tattle. Alright, now that we have bombs, let's get out of here. I want to go ahead and take on another mini-boss here in Termina Field so we can get us a piece of heart. We're going to make our way over to Milk Road and drop down this grotto here. Time to fight the one and only P-Hat here in Majora's Mask, so I'm going to go ahead and wait for him to come out, and we'll just jump attack you. Keep on attacking. And as we can see, pretty much everything in Termina Field, minus the areas that are blocked off, it all plays out in the same way here as it does in the final product. Nothing really all that major was changed. The biggest limitation with this demo is the time limit that we have. We have a lot more time to play around here in Termina Field, so at least we can go ahead and explore things pretty comfortably here instead of just getting kicked to the main menu. But we're trying to do as much as we can before the game kicks us at this point. It is good, though, they put a time limit on this because, honestly, a demo that's available to play in a public environment like a store, they should have time limits because anyone can kind of hog the kiosk station all day just to play, you know, pieces of a game for free. If you give people that kind of inch, they'll take a mile, basically. So the fact that this has a timer makes a lot of sense. Let's go ahead and enter South Clocktown because now I want to get a piece of heart over here. And now make a full heart container. So let's do it. Let's get a heart container and make us 4 hearts instead of the 3 hearts we started off with. There you go. Piece of heart. New heart container. That makes a total of 4. And while I'm here, let me go get the one that's over in North Clocktown. Just to have another one into our arsenal. Why not? I mean, what else are you going to do in a demo at this point, right? Trying to take advantage of as much as we can here before the timer runs out. But we only had about 2 minutes in Clocktown for the prologue section, but here we have a lot more time from the looks of things. But kind of hard to judge just how much time exactly, because the demo doesn't really disclose how long you actually have to play. You just have X amount of time. But unfortunately, because we don't know how much time, and we kind of just have to do as much as we can before we get booted. Go ahead and buy a map here from Tingle. And I'll go ahead and buy the Clocktown map. And with that, now we have a map of the area. Now, I want to go ahead and make my way over to the observatory. And luckily, we do start off with the Bomber's Notebook here. So I press the pause button. We can go ahead and see our Bomber's code, which is 52413. So I'm going to go ahead and make my way over to the observatory's entrance here in Clocktown and put in that code. Since we didn't enter this area, we do have a cutscene, which is a little bit annoying, and this does take up the timer that's playing in the background here in the game. Again, we don't know how long we have to play the demo, but all these cutscenes, the timer doesn't pause for, which is kind of disappointing. Let's go ahead and talk to our bomber kid here and enter a code, 52413. Alright, thank you, kid. Let's go ahead and get out of here. Transferring back to our Goron, because now it really doesn't matter. The kid will let us through no matter who we are. And let's get us some extra rupees over here. So, put on the Zora mask to make this a little bit easier. Take it off now. And let's go ahead and equip our bombs, but that's it. We are out of time. So we only had about 10 minutes there to kind of just explore the game and do whatever we really wanted. It was restricted, but we did get a lot of stuff done in that 10 minutes, so I'd say that was a pretty good play session. Now we only have one more file to check out here, so let's go ahead and select the last stage on the demo and fight our first boss of the game, Odawa. So jumping in here to the Odawa fight, we have a handful of items already equipped. The Deku Mask, a red potion, a hero's bow with 30 arrows, and 20 Deku Nuts. We can check our item screen and we can see that these 3 items, as I just mentioned, are the only ones we have, and we only have the Deku Mask here. So we only have a handful of different things. No real need to really rearrange stuff for the most part. I'll just move my Deku Mask onto a button instead of a touchscreen, but that's pretty much it. Let's go ahead and challenge our first boss here. Here we go, it's time to fight Odawa. This time around, we're gonna go ahead and just try to attack him as much as we can here in a short amount of time, because just like every other scene in this demo, we only have a handful of minutes in order to actually complete this set section. Putting on our Deku Mask, we do have to watch the transformation here for the first time. Doesn't matter which file you select, this is kind of the thing you deal with all of the stages in the set demo. I want to go ahead and drop a Deku Nut down on Odawa here, stun him, and now let's just go ahead, attack the eye, do a lot of damage here, get out our bow, do more damage, and go ahead and aim. It's a little hard to aim in this state. Cam is a little bit weird too, because I kind of engaged the free cam while using Z targeting, which is a nice thing you can do. And at the time that this game did release, this was actually the flagship title that Nintendo was using to kind of push sales for their new Nintendo 3DS system, as this game was a launch title for the new Nintendo 3DS. Because of this, this was one of the first 3DS games that had full camera movement using the right analog stick. So this is honestly a really good game to kind of demonstrate that, because the camera in the N64 Zelda games, it hasn't really aged the best. So having a free moving camera in this version is kind of a big deal to me. A lot of times though, I am used to just playing the game originally, so I'm just kind of used to already just using Z targeting to refresh my camera's movements here. But at the same time, having that free cam makes things a lot easier, especially for the boss fights. I feel the boss arenas, that's the best place to use the free camera, as you can see pretty much everything in the arena. But with that defeats Odawa, and at that point, he drops a heart container, and his bosses remains. So let's go ahead and collect our heart container here, and collect the remains. We get 1 extra heart added into our arsenal, making a total of 4. And now we can make our way over to the boss remains here, and get ourselves Odawa's remains. You free the innocent spirit that was imprisoned within the dark mask. As soon as we collect Odawa's remains and enter the blue warp, this is unfortunately where the demo ends. Though we can't even explore any more of the Woodfall area here in the game. We can't even go back into Woodfall Temple and explore that area. So it's a little bit limiting, but that's kind of the theme here with this demo. You really can't do all that much. It's a very cut down version of Majora's Mask, but it does get the point across for you to try out the game and get a feel for if this is something you want to pick up for your 3DS or not. So that's pretty much going to do it for this video. There's not that many differences between this version of the game compared to the final product, compared to the preview demo of the N64 version of Majora's Mask. That had a lot more differences in between the final product and the demo version, but this one is pretty much the final version of Majora's Mask, just kind of cut down to a point where they can just fit it into a smaller file, install it on a 3DS, and have people play this for a few minutes at a time. It was a great way to try the game out when it did first get released, and again, Majora's Mask 3D was a launch title for the new Nintendo 3DS. So, at the time, you would be trying this game on a new Nintendo 3DS instead of an original 3DS in a lot of stores, which was a great way to see all the improvements that that system had, between its more stable 3D feature, having that new analog stick, and having 2 extra shoulder buttons with the ZL and ZR buttons. They make a pretty big difference for a game like this, because it just makes things a little bit easier to work with because you have 2 extra buttons to do Z lock targeting or using your shield. And this demo did a good job and pretty much just giving you all of those abilities in a nice little concise package. But now that the 3DS's lifespan is no more, I can definitely say this is still one of the better uses of a 3DS game taking advantage of the new 3DS hardware, having that extra analog stick for free movement camera, and utilizing the 2 extra Z buttons on the 3DS system. It just gives you a lot more access and functionality to the game, which I always enjoy. But if you did have a Circle Pad Pro, that also worked with this game with your original 3DS unit, so you didn't need a new 3DS to take advantage of some of the extra controls that this version of Majora's Mask brought to the table. And I always like options like that. But that's going to conclude this video, so thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this look at the Majora's Mask 3D demo here on the 3DS. And with that said, I'll see you guys next time.